John Lott. John, you do this for a living professionally. Give me your assessment of yesterday, and particularly the misdirection play. You could watch television all day, read the New York Times. They never really get to the heart of the matter. And they do this on purpose. They're there to confuse you, and then you have all the, all the armored cars show up. What really ticks me off is when you get there and you got 5,000 SWAT guys, and they're all walking around up armored, and you got the half tracks there and the Humvees with 50 caliber machine guns, everything after that. But we don't get to the part that you need to get to solve this, which is the psychiatrist, this mental health, and now we got the transgenders on a raid shooting. It's deeper than that. You've also got these other kids they misdiagnose. As a professional that does this for a living, what's your assessment of yesterday, and what does this tell us?
Well, I agree with you that there's a real mental health issue here, and particularly with regard to these transgenders. They are massively, compared to their share of the population, engaged in these types of actions, about 7 times more than their share of the population. But, you mentioned the misinformation in the media. I have lots of pet peeves, but one of the main ones is these diaries and manifestos, not just for the murderer yesterday, but time after time after time, explain why they pick the targets that they do. To me, that seems like a very newsworthy piece of information, but yet you will never see the media go through and quote or mention that they pick these targets because they want to go to a place where their victims can't defend themselves. This manifesto that came out explicitly explains that he wants to go to a place where victims aren't able to defend themselves. He calls them what they are, gun-free zones. And he says that he wants to do that because it will make it easier for him to kill more people. And, whether it be the Nashville Covenant School shooter, or whether it be the Buffalo grocery store guy, or going all the way back to Columbine, you see similar types of statements that are there. And so, and it's extremely explicit, but yet the media says, well, we don't know why he picked the target that he did. We know his mom worked at the school, and they try to draw connections like that. But, I just don't understand why they refuse. They just absolutely refuse. Nowhere in the media. I tried doing news searches last night, and even though it's clear as day in his manifesto that he had there, that he picked it because it was a gun-free zone. They refuse to do that. My guess is the whole gun control debate that we have right now would be dramatically different if even once in a while the media would say why they picked the target, because they wanted to go to a place, a soft target where they knew their victims couldn't defend themselves. And once in a while mention, we've had yet another mass public shooting where civilians were banned from being able to go and have guns. These guys may be crazy, but they're not stupid. Their goal is to get media coverage, and they clearly know the more people they kill or harm, the more media coverage that they're going to get. And they know if they go to a place where their victims can't defend themselves, they're going to be able to go and kill more people and get more media coverage.
The reason that the media is not going to cover that is the purpose of the media, and you see it for these ridiculous every night these happen. This is all about trying to make some case to take weapons away from citizens. They want
Right.
It's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's almost stupid, right? They were relentless. I want to go back. If you go to these manifestos, and I really want to thank the authorities. I'm sure this is all coming because now you got Kash Patel running the FBI and Pam Bondi as Attorney General, putting the pressure on them that the manifesto was released right away. They're still fighting to get the entire manifesto out of Nashville, over 2 years afterwards. These manifestos are pretty detailed. And they talk about their rage. They talk about their hate. They talk about the people they do hate. And they talk about why they were targeted, right? So why isn't this connected together as a body of evidence to show that about the mental health, and particularly these transgenders now are getting even more don't get me wrong, the whole thing is horrible about the psychiatric treatment, the misdiagnosis, Big Pharma putting these kids under drugs, the psychiatrists never being held accountable because they're an accessory to this. They are accessories. Big Pharma's an accessory. And in certain situations, the parents are accessories before the fact. But why do they, all the information's right there in the manifestos. Why do they refuse to let these manifestos out and let's connect dots, sir?
Right. Well, a little bit more than half of the mass public shooters over the last 25 years have been seeing mental health care experts prior to engaging in the attack. And one of the amazing is not in one single case did the mental health care experts identify any of those individuals as a danger to themselves or others. Part of the problem is the way mental health is set up, that they're used to people, their model is people who are troubled come to them for help. And so they basically assume that whatever the person tells them is accurate. When you read through these diaries and manifestos, you're usually dealing with fairly smart people, but even just a basic level of intelligence, they realize that it's crazy for them to go and tell somebody, I'm going to go and shoot somebody up. You have cases like the Buffalo mass murderer at the grocery store. He had been in high school. At the end of high school year, a teacher had asked him what he was planning on doing over the summer. He said, I'm going to go and find a school that has summer classes and shoot it up and kill lots of people and then go and commit suicide. Obviously, the teacher was alarmed. She went and told the proper authorities about it. He ended up being assigned to go and see 2 mental health care professionals. And what he told them was, look, it was a stupid joke. I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. And the mental health care professionals basically just took him at his word. You look at somebody like the Santa Barbara mass murderer. He was actually seeing 3 mental health care professionals. One of them, the head of child psychiatric services at Los Angeles Children's Hospital, one of the leading experts on child violence in the world. And he writes in his diaries there about how easy it is to fool the person because all he has to do is just say, when he's asked if he's thinking about doing anything violent, he says, of course not. I have nothing to do with that. I have no desire to do anything. And the mental health care experts would just basically take him at his word that that's what he wanted to do. So unless they want to get caught, unless they want to be stopped from doing these types of things, you're not going to, the way the mental health care profession is set up, you're not going to stop them. You're not going to catch them. And it's, it's scary. I force myself to go and read through diary or manifesto one after another. One of the things also that the media does in order to cover these things up is, they want to make it sound like this is a white supremacy type thing. If you look at the motives for these killers, about 75% of the time, they have no political motive. They're just individuals who are just purely suicidal, and they want to get media attention. People have always wanted to go and commit suicide. But someplace along the line, people realized that they could get worldwide media attention by killing lots of people. And that, as they would say, if I can only kill more people than such and such did, I can get more media attention. Or they'll say, get my name in the history books. And people don't appreciate me, but at least they'll appreciate me now and know that I was here. And so if you want to stop these things, I'm not going and saying getting rid of the First Amendment and rewriting it somehow. I'm not even sure how you would do that. But what you have to do is take away their ability to go and get that attention. And the way you do that is by making it so somebody there is able to quickly respond to go and stop them. Look, we have over 10,000 schools in the United States that have armed teachers and staff. We've had many of them for decades. There has not been one single attack at any school that allows armed teachers and staff where anybody's been killed or wounded. All the attacks occur at other places. Now, one difference I have with many conservatives is they want to have armed, uniformed police officers in schools. And the problem that you have is that these attackers have real tactical advantages. If they see somebody in uniform, they can either wait for that person to leave, maybe go to another building before they attack, or they can move on to another target themselves. Or if they're going to attack, who do you think they take out first if they're going to go there? They're going to take out the one person in uniform, the one person that they know who has a gun. You know, one way to think about this is we have air marshals on planes. Does anybody think air marshals ought to be in uniform? Do you think that would be useful? We would never do that, because if there is a terrorist on a plane and you have the one air marshal there on the plane in uniform, you're giving the terrorist a real advantage to know who it is he has to take out first. And so the same thing is true with officers. If you're going to have a police officer at the school, then please don't have them in uniform. Make them a staff person, a PE coach or something, so they blend in. But rather than having signs in front of schools that say these schools are gun-free zones, please put a sign in front of the school that says, warning, select teachers and staff are carrying concealed and will use these guns to protect the students and others there. You know, outside of California and New York, we're talking about 10% of the adult population in the country with a concealed carry permit. You can go to a mall, you can go to a grocery store, you can go to a restaurant, and there's very likely somebody nearby you who has a gun, but you would never know. And the same thing is true with these terrorists. They won't know if there's a teacher behind them or to the side who might be able to go and stop them. And that deters them from going in it. Just read the diaries. Read the diary or manifesto that came out yesterday where the person explicitly, and they do this over and over again, explain why they pick the targets that they do. The media doesn't have to guess, as they're doing in this case here. Just read it and just report it. But you will, I did news searches last night. You will not find one single news outlet, not Fox, not any place, surely not the New York Times and Washington Post and places like that, which will go and have a news article on how they pick the target that they do. For years, I've talked to editors at different news bureaus, and I say, look, we've had yet another mass public shooting at a place where guns are banned. Can't we mention that? You mentioned the type of gun you use. You mentioned how you think the person got the gun. Many times the initial news reports are wrong on those things. This is something easy to check. And they say, okay, John, if you can get back to me quickly within the news cycle, and I would do that for years. But what would happen is that when I did get back to them, they said, well, it would be political if we included that. And my response is saying that they picked a place where people were banned from having guns. Is that more or less political than you going and calling it an assault weapon, or going and guessing how you think they got a hold of the gun? You know, they have all these laws that they want to pass.
Yeah.